had a shotgun in my hand and I was going to take my life. And I remember thinking,
when the person is in such a situation, the person's mind stops working. That's why the person is committing that kind of an act. Dr. Joe, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you and I thank you. Please give us the exact way how to do the Ho'oponopono.
but I think the exact way to do it is
How to get over this vicious cycle of no action.
their assumption is feeling guilty is going to make them do it.
So if this thing which I call the name code, I am Priya Sani. And what do you feel then? Do you feel empowered? Do you feel awakened? Nothing. Does our name actually have that coding?
I love this conversation. I've had different names. Yeah, so this is an exclusive for you and your audience.
I'm Priya Sani, the founder of Meta Superhuman. I turned my breakdown into a blueprint. This podcast exists only for one reason: to help you create the superhuman version of yourself through manifestation, through neuroscience, and through aligned action. I could not have asked for a more powerful guest to be the first guest of our Meta Superhuman podcast, Dr. Joe Vitale. Dr. Joe was once homeless. Today he's the author of over 90 books, star of 30 movies, including the hit movie The Secret, and he's a musician with 15 albums. He's received the US President Lifetime Service Award in 2024 and the Los Angeles Tribune Lifetime Achievement Award in 2021. His own movie, Zero Limits, released in 2025, won 27 film awards. He has helped millionaires, billionaires, royalties, and presidents. At the age of 71, he started his MMA training, and at the age of 72, he received his blue belt in MMA. He knows the missing secret to the success. Please welcome the man they call Mr. Fire, Dr. Joe Vitale. So before I say anything, I would like to say, Dr. Joe, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you and I thank you. And I really, really thank you from every part of my being for bringing Ho'oponopono to this world, to me, because it has really helped a lot of people around me, maybe saving lives as well. I'm not sure. I did it on 5 of them in critical state, 1 having water in their lungs, 2 of them in ICU, and they're all fine. It's magic. So over to you, Dr. Joe. How does this actually work? I do it in a very different way. Please give us the exact way how to do the Ho'oponopono.
Well, I think the exact way to do it is however you feel inspired to do it. The way I was taught to do Ho'oponopono was to say the phrases that you just mentioned. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. But to say them inside yourself, not necessarily out loud, and to say them as a kind of a prayer to your connection to God or the divine or the great something, whatever you want to call it. And you're asking for forgiveness for the unseen limiting beliefs within you. It doesn't mean you did anything wrong. There's nothing about bad doing or punishment. It's more a matter of unconsciousness. We've been unconscious to our limiting beliefs, so we don't know what part of us created whatever we're perceiving to be the problem. So the very simplest way of doing Ho'oponopono is to be aware of your problem, the concern, the issue. And as you're aware of it, you feel it inside yourself. It's the only place you can feel it. It's in you. And as you're feeling it, you're addressing your request to God or the divine, saying, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, which is your way of saying, please take care of this within me so I can see the change in the outer results. Now, I've written several books on this. I did 3 3-day events with Dr. Hulan over 10 years. There's a lot more to Ho'oponopono than those 4 phrases. But anybody can take what we just gave them and they can start using it right now.
Dr. Joe, I have this question, like how I do it, and somehow it has worked. Maybe because I was feeling deep inside those emotions. I was saying it to the person who was ill. I was saying it to the illness. I was saying it to the people concerned. Maybe that person has done something wrong to the other person so that I can, clear out the energy of those people around him. And then to divine and at last to myself. And that was actually an amazing feeling. And I felt that they are fine, whosoever it was. So is this the correct way or is just to the divine? That's my important question here.
It's a great question. The way Dr. Hulen taught it to me and the way Morna taught it to him was that you are only addressing the divine.
Ah, okay.
Everything else is an illusion. Everything else. The other person is an illusion. Your concerns about an illness is an illusion. All you're focusing on is your internal experience of what you're calling a problem. So when you look at another person and you're concerned about them because they're not feeling well and you want to help them, Ho'oponopono addresses that feeling in you, not in the other person. When you clear the feeling in you, when you heal your perception in you, then the other person may get better. But you're not focused on the other person. You're not focused on any of the outward stuff. The outward world is a mirror, and what it's reflecting is what's in you. You change what's in you, and the mirror will reflect the new change. So Ho'oponopono is entirely about inside you, your connection to the divine, using those 4 phrases as a kind of prayer.
So, Dr. Joe, you're saying that it's just about me, even if I don't know the person, and even
Yes.
if I haven't heard about that person ever, like Dr. Hulan cured those patients. So, how does this happen? We don't know the person, we've never heard of them, and still it's a perception about them we just got to know. And we change it that we are so powerful saying these 4 sentences that the other powers, the other energies, which are associated with the illness, with the other people, like the other people are also having certain energies. So we become so powerful saying these 4 sentences?
Well, actually, you don't, but you allow the divine, which is the most powerful, to work through you. So it's not you, it's the divine coming to heal you. And as it heals you, all these other perceptions, these people, these illnesses, these problems that you see on the outside can start to be resolved. But it's all a matter of working with yourself. One of the basic principles in Ho'oponopono is total responsibility, 100% responsibility. And it's one of the issues people have a problem with because they don't want to take responsibility for what they see. But Ho'oponopono says, if you see it, you have it. If you feel it, you have it. If you notice it in another person, you have it. It's in you. And Ho'oponopono says, you take care of you, and all those things you see on the outside can begin to be healed. They can be resolved. They can be removed.
Dr. Joe, thank you for sharing that. So I've done Ho'oponopono a lot of times on my husband. So a lot of times when we have a fight, just to resolve it, I've done. Trust me, it's not easy because when you have a
Right.
fight, he is saying something else. I do not agree. But then to do a love prayer for the same person and for everything, like for the whole energy, it becomes tough. What would you suggest in that situation? What should one do when, I'm not even feeling like doing this, but sometimes I do it and it works every single time. So what do you
That's
think?
what you have to remind yourself of, what you just said. When you do it, it works every single time. You just said that. That's what you have to remind yourself of. And I admit, in the moment of an argument, in the moment of that energy, which can be overwhelming, it's real easy to blame the other person. It's real easy to forget about a remedy that's as simple as Ho'oponopono. But what we have to do is remind ourselves of it. You have to have some sort of trigger, and it could be very simply a rubber band on your wrist. It could be a mala. One of the reasons I wear these different things, they're reminders to me. I have Rudraksha seeds here on this mala. And yes, there's beautiful meaning to it. It has an energy of itself. But I'm going to tell you, between you and me, it's a reminder, Joe, don't get caught up in the outer world. If there is a conflict, if there is a tension, this is a reminder to me. It's like, oh, yes, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And I touch each one of the beads. In a traditional mala, they have 108 beads, and they use it as a kind of prayer. I use it for Ho'oponopono. Wow. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. So we need to have some sort of reminder. And that's up to you. Anybody can have reminders. I have things on my desk that remind me. They're little triggers for me. And of course, the mala. So the more we can remind ourselves of the simplicity of a power like Ho'oponopono, the more we have a chance to escape that conflict.
Basically, it's like a discipline for your mind or tricks. You have to educate your mind or train your mind. This is a synchronicity, Dr. Joe, that, you're mentioning about your Rudraksh, because that was a question. And because we don't have that much time, I skipped that question. Now that I've started with Ho'oponopono, but I would really like to thank you for your time. You're writing so many books. You're doing MMA. You just got, blue belts, right? Congratulations for that. I keep following.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
No, that means a lot to all of us, because as you're said, Mr. Fires, you're actually on fire. And second thing I would love to mention about you is that whenever I see your face, right now we're sharing the same energy. It's such a privilege for me, Dr. Joe. I see so much energy, that smiling face and that spark in your eyes actually sends energy to us, like the audience who are watching you.
Good.
It really sends energy to us. And I've heard that you've been called the laughing Buddha of the internet as well, right? So
right. That's been out there a few times. Yes, the Buddha of the internet. Right.
That's for a reason, because, we feel that divine energy and that spark in your eyes. And again, thank you for being on Meta Superhuman right now. So the journey I started off, Meta Superhuman, was with when I gave birth, I lost myself completely. And I didn't know who I was, what I was. You forget when you become a mother. And then that's how Meta Superhuman was created, to become a meta version of the superhuman I was. So today, I would just like to start off with your journey. You've talked about you being homeless, and you've talked about how you created your empire and so many books and so many movies. I heard in one of your podcasts that you were about to take your life. How did that moment change, and how did you cater to that situation? So if I be very specific, if a person is listening to us right now who is in that dilemma of taking his or her life, what are the 3 things you would like to tell to that person so that the person can actually go away with that decision and, create miracles like you've created?
That's a big question. That's an important question. Yeah. I'm glad you're asking that, because I can really feel the heaviness that somebody might have that feels hopeless, and they feel like they might take their life because they don't see any way out. And so the very first thing I would say is, the thought that saved me, because I had a shotgun in my hand and I was going to take my life. And I remember thinking, what if it all changes tomorrow or next week or next month or later in the year? It was curiosity. It was like, what if it's going to change? I'm dropping the curtain on my life now. And I remember thinking, maybe there's a shot, maybe it can change. That thought alone made me put the gun down, and I'm glad I did, because I've had the most remarkable in life that I never could have imagined in that moment of holding a shotgun and turning it on myself. The life I've had has been beyond all comprehension, and I couldn't fathom it. And yet that was the curiosity that made me say it could change. So that's the very first thing, is that life could change for you. It could be dramatically different, but you don't see it right now. You've got to stay to watch it unfold. The second thing that I would say is, the sun always rises. The sun always rises. Even if you're in a rainstorm, sooner or later, it's going to stop raining. The sun's going to rise. The clouds are going to clear. The rain's going to stop, and it's going to be beautiful again. You have to wait it out. So I'm reminding people of optimism, reminding people the nature of life is that there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. I've had extreme ups, I've had extreme downs. I tell people life is like a roller coaster. You sit in your seat, you buckle up because you're going to go up and you're going to go down. But if you stay in your seat, you'll be able to enjoy the ride. So the second thing I tell people is that everything changes. The sun's going to be bright again. So keep that in mind. And the third thing, and this is something we really have to keep in mind, when you do something like take your own life, you destroy the lives of people you don't even know. Family, friends, acquaintances, even strangers who hear about it. This leaves a hole in them that doesn't get repaired for the longest time. I've had friends commit suicide. I'm still not over it because a part of me feels if I only knew, if I could have only helped, if I could have only said the right thing. So suicide in many ways is selfish because you are taking care of your own pain because you feel you can't have it or it's not going to go away. And I'm reminding you, it will go away and it will get better. And life is going to bring you some juicy things you can't even imagine. But the other thing is you take care of your own problem and you give a lot of other people a new problem. And that's the loss of you. So I would say those are the three things. Stay here. It's going to change. It's going to get better. And stay here because you don't want to leave this hole in life that hurts everybody.
Dr. Joe, when the person is in such a situation, the person's mind stops working. That's why the person is committing that kind of an act. Secondly, as far as my knowledge is concerned, when you leave your body at that energy, you still don't get peace, right? You're
That's
looking
right.
for peace. You're running away from something from where you cannot run away. So can you please give this peace to the people listening to this podcast? Coming from you, it would be a great impact that it doesn't help them at all. At least this might help them to not take such action.
When we consider taking our own lives, like I had considered it way back in the 1970s, we think it's a way out. We think it's going to ease the pain. We think it's going to stop the negative chatter in our brain. But what I've since learned is you still have it. Even if you did take your own life, you step through the door and you're on the other side, still unhappy, still negative, still thinking the dark thoughts. But now you have to carry it until the next incarnation. It is not a solution. It is not a remedy. It does not erase the pain or the negative thoughts. You have to deal with all that while you're alive, while you're here. It's part of the educational experience. It is one of the life lessons. When we get the life lesson, it goes away. But if you take your life, you take it with you and you carry it until you get another lifetime to deal with it yet again. So the bottom line is it's not a solution. It's not a way out. It doesn't change anything except your physical appearance. You're not here now. You've gone to the other side carrying the darkness with you.
Anyone listening, please be careful. Nothing will end with ending your life. It will continue. So we have to face what we fear. So, Dr. Joe, I really regret why I did not see the movie The Secret when I had my mother alive. So I saw The Secret once I lost my mother, and it gave me hope, a lot of hope. My whole journey of really understanding my mind started off with The Secret. And you have been one of the big stars of The Secret. Thank you so much for being a part of the movie, saying what you said. It really impacted me and everyone, as you know, so much that I'm sitting here and a lot of people must have had so many miracles in their lives. So just want you to share a little about The Secret, because still a lot of people, so many people are super excited about the movie The Secret. When anyone has to start their journey of manifestation energy, I give them this movie.
Oh,
So
good.
yes, because that's just the first step, as you know, because even I was looking for more to what is more to The Secret, and then your work, and so many teachers are there. But yeah, please share about your journey with The Secret.
Well, I love the movie The Secret, and I would tell people to watch it whether I was in it or not. I was very fortunate. I was invited to be in the movie. And during that time in 2005, I was very busy. I had not been in any movies. And so I was insecure. I was uncertain. I didn't know the people making the movie. I didn't know what it would be like. I didn't know where it would go. But something in me said, do the movie. And I've learned to say yes to opportunities, even when I'm scared or I'm insecure, or I don't know what I'm doing. Say yes and let the divine lead the way. So I said yes. I was filmed for the movie. And of course, the movie ended up making history. It came out 20 years ago, and people still see it. They still talk about it. They still stop me in the street and say, I saw you in The Secret, which is unbelievable to me for a movie that came out 2 decades ago. But the movie is a wonderful introduction to the art of thinking positive and the art of manifesting your life by understanding, at least on a superficial beginning level, the law of attraction. Now, as you pointed out, we all want more. And I defend the movie. I say, look, it was just an introduction. It's not the graduate course in how to create your life. Even I have my own movie now, Zero Limits, that came out 20 years later. So we're all piecing it together. But the movie The Secret, if somebody hasn't seen it for whatever reason, go watch it. I know people who watch it every day, every day.
Yes,
They put
yes.
it in the background
Yes, I
as they
used to do it
cook.
earlier. Yes.
Yeah, they do it. I heard one person watched it 200 times. And I'm like, I think I've seen it twice in 20 years, so 200 times. But they were trying to influence their mind. They were trying to clean their brain up, so to speak, in a positive brainwashing by watching The Secret and letting it get into their consciousness. So I tell people I'm grateful for The Secret. If you haven't seen it, watch it. If you know people who haven't watched it, tell them about it, because it's a great way to awaken to possibilities in your life. It's a great way to awaken to your own power.
So going beyond The Secret, Dr. Joe, as you have the 15 principles as well. I have specific questions. You just talked about that you never say no now, right? And even then. So how is inspired action and just taking action, how are they different? People say, like a lot of manifestation teachers say, that you need to take inspired action. So
Yes.
first question is that how do these two play roles? Second, how does discipline play a role in for all of this? Because there are a lot of teachers of discipline as well, but that's not inspired action. That is doing the boring work, but it creates results. I've seen that, and I have not seen that as well, where I'm not disciplined. So, and I've seen inspired action results as well. So what do you say about these two concepts?
Well, those are big questions right there. I'm a big fan of inspired action. And inspired action is where you get this intuitive feeling of this gut drive or message that feels like it's from something bigger than you. And this, to me, is the divine, or it's God, whatever you want to call the big power of the universe, that's giving you a push. It's saying, here's a gift. Write this book, make this movie, do this, whatever. And doing it will feel exhilarating because you are getting this electricity from the divine itself. It's telling you, do this. And as you're doing it, you're going to feel like, I got marching orders from God. And it feels fantastic to follow these orders. The opposite of that is the just get up and do it action steps that people take on a regular basis. There's nothing wrong with that. It's when they get up and make a cup of coffee because that's what they're used to doing every morning. And it's kind of a positive habit for them to go make the coffee. But that's an action step. It's not an inspired action step. An inspired action step might be they wake up in the morning and they go, I'm going to add ghee to my coffee today. I don't even know why, but I feel compelled to add ghee. And they add this ghee to the coffee, and suddenly it feels like a milkshake. And suddenly, it's enriched with this healthy fat, and they've got this new experience, but it came from inspiration. So we have to kind of do both to be able to get through the world. We're taking the actions that we know to take. I walk my dog every morning. My dog isn't necessarily inspiring me. When we go on a walk, it's like, I know she has to poop. And so sooner or later, I got to take a bag with me and we're going to go for a walk and we're going to poop. But if I go out the door with her and I'm inspired to go on a different walk, a different direction, a different speed, maybe I decide to run or skip, these are things that are new. They're different. So I've enriched my action step with an inspired action step. So I think we need to have that balance of both, but always being in tune with the intuition, with the inspiration, with the divine. It could give us something even more fun than what we're already doing.
So, Dr. Joe, you're trying to say that one should be disciplined, but should not be stringent enough so that when an inspiration comes to you, then you follow it.
Well said. Well said. I use the phrase have room to move, room to move. And there was a famous song by John Mayo called Room to Move. Okay. And I always think of it as a kind of a mantra. It's like, don't be so locked in to a discipline that you don't have room to move into a different way of accomplishing the same result. There could be another way you're not aware of right now, but because you're locked in with this so-called discipline, you don't see it and you don't feel it. So you don't get to experience it. I say, have room to move. Be flexible. Be willing to be improvisational. Be willing to be inspired by something you don't even see coming until it hits.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joe. You just put it in the perfect manner. Then there is this thing, guilt. So if one is not disciplined, one is procrastinating, not taking actions, listening to manifestation videos, thinking that, I will visualize it and it's going to happen. And then at the end of the day, no one has taken action. The person did not get inspired. The person is in depression. And, you don't get inspired when you're in depression. Or maybe the person is just going out shopping or going out, taking alcohol just to uplift the energy that I feel better. I'll get an inspired action and then nothing happens. And at the end, gets into guilt. What do you say about this? How to get over this vicious cycle of no action, guilt, trying to get the inspired action?
Well, the very first thing to notice is that guilt is not inspiring you to take any action. So if somebody set up the idea that, well, I want to go and do such and such, but they didn't do it, then they feel guilty about it. Their assumption is feeling guilty is going to make them do it. And guilt doesn't do that. Guilt doesn't make you do anything. So you have to let go of the guilt. I would back up and ask the question, okay, I want to, we'll say, write a book. I want to open my bakery. I want to go to the gym. I want to do something, but I'm not doing it. I would ask myself, what could be the belief that is stopping me from taking action? Because beliefs are what's ruling our behavior. But we're not usually aware of our beliefs because they're happening so rapidly and so usually that we think it's just life. We just think, oh, this is the way I am. I can't change. This is the way life is. I can't change. None of that is true. So I've learned to question beliefs. That would be the first thing that I would suggest to somebody. And they would find out what the limiting belief is, and then they could question it. The second thing, and I think this is really important, is we all need support. We need somebody who believes in us almost more than we believe in ourselves. You mentioned me getting my blue belt in mixed martial arts, and I'm 72 years old. This is a big deal for anybody. It's a big deal for me. But I have people who believe in me. I had met a karate champion a year and a half ago, and he planted the seed in me that I could actually be a black belt. And when he planted the seed, I was like, he's nuts. I mean, I was thinking he's nuts. And I let it sit in my mind, and he stayed in contact and was urging me until I got to the point where I actually got up and I started going to martial arts classes. And I'm still going a year and a half later to mixed martial arts twice a week. because somebody believed in me and still does. And so somebody who is watching us and maybe they are saying, well, I want to do mixed martial arts or I want to go for walks and they're not doing it. If they had somebody urging them, if they had a coach, a mentor, somebody there in their corner, it would be somebody who believed in them and somebody who would hold them accountable. They would be able to say, did you go to the gym today? Did you go for your walk today? Did you write a few pages of your book today? Not in any judgmental way, but in an encouraging way, a compassionate way. I find all of that works. So I think the bottom line with guilt is be kind to yourself. Guilt is whipping yourself and not getting you to do what you want to do.
Is it about keeping your promises to yourself? Because that creates guilt, right, doctor?
Well, also keeping your promises to yourself creates power.
Yes.
It creates power. I tell people, if you want to feel more confident, if you want to have inner power, if you want to have inner strength, if you want to feel like you can have, do, or be anything, then keep your promises to yourself and to other people. So if you say, I'm going to meet you for lunch at noon, then meet that person for lunch at noon. Because if you don't show up, you have lied to yourself and you've lied to the other person. Your unconscious mind / subconscious mind is listening. And it says, oh, you're a liar. So when you say, I want to receive, $10,000 in unexpected income doing what I love, your mind will go, well, you lied about lunch. You didn't show up. So you're probably lying about what you want with money. So we're not going to bother. So you have to be aware that you're not keeping promises to yourself or other people weakens your power. It's not even about guilt. It is about losing your momentum and losing your ability to manifest what you want. You have to keep your promises to yourself. So don't say anything you're not willing to do. And you have to keep your promises to other people, because the promises you make to other people, they're listening and you're listening. And when you break it, you lose trust. Trust with your own being, trust with the universe. Even the universe is listening. And when you don't do something you say you want to do, the universe goes, well, they didn't do it before, so they're probably lying. They're probably not going to do what they want.
Making absolute sense. And Dr. Joe, you talked about like having a person, a sort of mentor who can encourage you, or someone in your life who can encourage you. So if a person is not having that person in their life, maybe the person is alone, living alone, and not even having the money to keep a coach, what would you suggest for that person?
There's lots of things that you can do. But the bottom line that I heard a few years ago, and I always love this phrase, is borrow belief.
Mm-hmm.
Borrow belief. I interviewed James Lawrence, and he's an extreme athlete. He breaks all kind of records, and he's doing some incredibly mind-boggling things. And I interviewed him, and he said that one of the things he learned to do was borrow belief in himself from authorities, and he mentioned me. Well, I had never met him. I never had him as a client. When I finally interviewed him, he was saying he borrowed belief from Dr. Joe Vitale, because I was encouraging people like you've seen me do on Instagram. When I post videos, I'm encouraging people to go for their dreams, and I'm giving them tips on how to achieve their dreams. He borrowed that enthusiasm. He borrowed that belief. He borrowed that information, and we never met. He borrowed it. And I love the idea because I started thinking, when I was homeless, I lived in the Dallas, Texas Public Library, and I read the self-improvement books. They were free. They were right there. I can lay on the floor in air-conditioned building and read these books. They were believing in me. They were authors and they were dead and I never met them. But the books gave me some sort of belief in myself. The books were like a mentor. They were like a coach to me. So I tell people, you can borrow the belief right now. I believe in you. Borrow that belief right there. And as soon as you can afford even a little bit to get some mentoring, I set up zerolimitsmentoring.com. And there's some very low entry points so that people can get mentoring from the people I've trained. And as they get more money, they can work up and hire me. But zerolimitsmentoring.com, I think it's at zerolimitsliving.com, zerolimitsliving.com. They can check that out. But I would say borrow the belief.
Thank you, Dr. Joe. And would you like to talk about your coaching programs or 15 principles that you've created? Anything which would help the audience to go to a higher level?
I love that you're very focused on helping people. I love that all of your questions have been about people that are hurting or people that are alone or people that are really in a dark place and you're truly wanting to help them. I feel that. That is such a divine gift that you're doing for people. You know, when you invited me to be interviewed, there was something in me that said, just say yes, just go ahead. And now that I see you, I'm like, I'm so glad I'm here. And you're asking these questions focused on other people. And I'm so gratified to know that you're trying to help them and you're pulling the best out of me so I can help them. So you're doing incredible. You're doing God's work. You're making a divine difference here. And I'm honored to be here and honored to meet you. I'm incredibly impressed.
Dr. Joe, I'm talking about becoming a meta version of myself and even,
Yes.
inspiring others. What do you think is becoming the meta version of yourself would be? Like maybe a few takeaways from your perspective.
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. I'll tell you, the focus of my work most recently has been about helping people awaken to the divine within them.
Mhm.
Underneath our ego, underneath our insecurities, underneath our limiting beliefs, underneath our stories is this divine light. This divine light is God, and it's in us. The advanced meta-human, the awakened human, whatever phrase we want to use, is the divine living and breathing and expressing through us. When we're born in this environment where we are wired with the limitations of everybody around us and everybody who went before us. And so we don't know about awakening. We don't know about divinity. We don't know about being bigger or better than what we already have. Now, if you're lucky, you see a show like this, they meet a person like you, they see the movie The Secret, they see my new movie, Zero Limits, they see some of the books, and they start to awaken. Something inside of them starts to pay attention, going, what would it be if I didn't have limits? What would it be if I expressed divinity through me? What would life be like if I actually expressed the supernatural through me rather than the limited human through me? This is the nature of my work. I actually am exploring whether we have any limits or not. And I don't think we have any. I think they're all mental constructs. And so the awakened human, the awakened person, the awakened spiritual being, the meta-human, whatever you want to call it, is somebody who's transcended those limitations. And at that point, truly anything is possible. Because as soon as we say something is a limitation or I can't do that, we've spoken as a limited human.
So if a person wants to be a meta superhuman, that person just needs to decide it, right?
They decide it, and then they have to do the work to allow it. Because they still have their ego that's kind of holding them down. And that's where meditation comes in. That's where doing the inner work comes in. That's where exploring limitations comes in. That's where questioning beliefs come in, so that we can be free to allow that divine being to live and breathe and speak and act and experience through us. It's huge and it's beautiful.
Yes, absolutely. I agree to you, Dr. Joe. Absolutely. There's this thing which I call the name code. I just want your perspective on it. I say that our name, because it's been there with us since we are born, our name is coded with an identity. So I've done a few interviews where I ask them to say, for example, I am Priya Saini. And what do you feel then? Do you feel empowered? Do you feel awakened? Do you feel anxious? nothing. And then a lot of them have said, nothing, blah, blah, blah. And then I take them into a situation where they have overcome the biggest fear thing in their life. And then they remember themselves through their name. What do you think? That does our name actually have that coding if we remind ourselves? And how can we actually do it with our name?
Oh, what a great insight. I love this conversation. First of all, yes, part of the programming as we're growing up is we get labeled, and we get labeled with the name. Now we're not just the life force walking around. Now we are Joe, or we are Susan. We have a name. And so the life force has been named. And then as we're growing up, we're hearing all the do's and don'ts and possibilities and limitations. And so now we're being programmed to the point that we show up here now, and Joe has been programmed in such a way that he's going to act in the way his program has turned him into a kind of a robot. Now, in my particular case, I've had different names. And this is something I don't know that I've ever talked about, or if I did, once or twice. Yes, so this is an exclusive for you and your audience. Way back around 1979, right after homelessness and still in poverty, I was a disciple of a very controversial Indian guru. And he gave me the name Manjushri. And I was Swami Anand Manjushri.
Wow.
And as I was Swami Anand Manjushri, the old Joe and his limitations started to break away. I was becoming a new coded name, to use your phraseology. And the new coded name was more in alignment with a spiritual, expansive, unlimited Joe. Swami Anand Manjushri was the elevated version, the new coding for Joe. Now, after 10 years of that, I went back to Joe, and Joe's doing his life work and everything. And then I get a nickname. My nickname, which is still my nickname today, is Mr. Fire. Even my main website, which I put up in the 90s, was MrFire.com. And Mr. Fire was different than Joe. And Mr. Fire was different than Swami Anand Manjushri. Mr. Fire was more extroverted and more fiery, no pun intended. Yes. And so that became part of me. And then we can move forward even more. And as you pointed out in the introduction, some people have called me the Buddha of the internet. Well, when I hear Buddha of the internet, I don't hear the coded Joe limitations. Do you see what I mean? So I tell people, I totally agree with you. Your name is part of your programming, is coded, but I also know you can change it. You can change your name, and you can change your relationship to your name and make a different code out of it.
Dr. Joe, like how this concept came, the name code is like whenever. So many times I've, achieved big things in my life, but I have been at the lowest point then. And I just closed my eyes and I was tiny, I was little, like a small girl. And I used to tell myself, I'm Priya Saini. And with that fire, I am Priya Saini. I used to remember when I solved some problem or I, achieved something, then it reminded me who I am. And then I achieved whatever I wanted to achieve. It was big things in my life at that point of time. So yeah, coming from you, thank you. I mean, definitely, this
It's
is
a
really,
major
really,
insight.
really insightful. The things which you mentioned, having kind of three names for you, and
Right.
then you having different insights and the energy from them.
Let me tell you one more quick story about names, because I just now, I'm inspired to share this with you in this moment. I'm also a musician, and I have 15 albums. And when I was going to perform live on stage with my band of legends, I was terrified. I had not been on stage as a lead singer, singing, playing guitar, leading my own band. This was unnerving. It was almost traumatizing. But I learned to question my beliefs. I learned to do Ho'oponopono, and I learned to do something else that I've only told one or two people. I created a new name for myself. As a singer who was popular and confident, I was Antonio. Antonio had all the charisma and the power of a frontman for his own band. Nobody knew that Antonio was actually on stage, but Joe became Antonio so I can perform. I got a standing ovation. My band and I had a standing ovation. But I think one of the big reasons is I didn't use the coded limited Joe. I used the more expansive, original, uncontaminated name, Antonio.
This gave me goosebumps. No, really, this is so inspiring. And it'll be so inspiring for everyone who's listening to this.
Well,
And
this is all coming from you. This is coming from you and your insight. I hadn't thought about a name being coded, but I was intuitively doing it and changing my name throughout 72 years. So you're on to something here, and I can't wait for you to share it in a really big way with people because it can help empower them in ways they can't even imagine.
Yes, Dr. Joe, I'm going big on the name code because this is something who I am. That's something which I've been using throughout my life. And I'm pretty sure, as you did not know, a lot of people don't know that they are using their name in a way that they're not even aware. I wasn't aware. This was a question asked by my husband. What do you do when you are in this situation? And then it came. It's my name. My name is what I use.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And okay, Dr. Joe, I mean, again, because of the time limitation, just one message you would like to give to our audience and a person who's listening right now, who's ready to go to the next level. What is that one thing which you would give, at the end of this podcast?
Wow. There's so many things that I want to say and so many tidbits. I'm going to reduce it to one thing. Every day, take inspired action in the direction of your divinity, of your dreams, every day. I have looked over my life, and even when I was homeless, I was in poverty, I was struggling, I was suicidal, I was taking action every day. I wanted to be an author. I wanted to write things that made a difference. And in the early days, no support, no coach, no internet, nobody rooting me on, but I got up every day on my typewriter back then and did my best to keep taking inspired action in the direction of my dreams. As a result, look where I am. So I tell people, take inspired action daily in the direction of expressing your divinity, following your dreams, and as I always like to say, expect miracles.
It's a miracle that you're sitting in front of me right now. Person I saw as a child the Secret movie, and I'm talking to you, sharing that energy. When you followed me, I told my husband, Ravi, that's his name. Dr. Joe Vitale is following me, and I feel blessed. And thank you, Dr. Joe, to be here and sharing this energy together. It was such a privilege to be speaking with you. I learned so much, and I've got so much from you, something which you have not shared somewhere else. And I'm extremely excited.
I am very grateful. I'm the one that's grateful. I'm grateful to know you. You are a divine being doing great work. I have been incredibly impressed with what you're doing, and I totally support you. And I want to point out, how did you get me here? You took inspired action.
Yes, I did, yes.
And I said yes.
Yes, absolutely. I manifested you, Dr. Joe, 100%. Because my energy was in the right place. It's been a year that I saw that follow from you, and I was waiting for the right energy from my side to send you that message. And that was just an inspiration. I just did it. And thank you again for being here. I'm really grateful.
Thank you.